This is Neil Beatty, independent certified gemologist appraiser from the American Gem Registry in Denver, Colorado. People often ask me questions about diamonds, jewelry, and gems, and I thought I'd take the opportunity to make some videos to answer specific questions that people want to know. Today I'm going to talk about the 4 C's, what they are, where they came from, why I don't like them, and why we're going to use them anyway. The 4 C's of diamonds are cut, color, clarity, and carat weight. This is a system that was developed by the Gemological Institute of America back in the 30s, and it was designed to be able to describe diamonds so that people selling diamonds, meaning jewelers, could explain what made one diamond better than another, and that's why they're so much more expensive. This system worked really well. It made GIA an empire. It made De Beers an empire. It was very effective. The success of the 4 C's started after World War II when consumers, regular people, started buying diamonds for engagement rings. And they would go to a jewelry store and say, I want to buy a diamond. I don't know anything about diamonds. I don't understand how diamonds work. Could you sell me one? The 4 C's worked fantastically well for that. It's not that anyone would ever ask how many inclusions are there with an 11-step clarity scale where the top 5 are indistinguishable without magnification. That's a jewelry thing. Well, the top 5 differ by more than a factor of 2 in price. That a flawless and a VS2 that's otherwise similar will be double the price. That gives the jewelers the opportunity to upsell you. You should get a VVS 1D because she's worth it. And possibly she is. Who am I to say? The 4 C's are cut, that refers to the shape, and the proportions. Shape means round, square, marquee shape, which is a football. Proportions is the angles that reflect the light internally. So when you look at a diamond, it's bright and pretty. That comes from the proportions. Color is the saturation of color, not what the color is. So it's not the way most people talk about color, the way the Pantone people talk about color. It's how intense the yellow is. And a stone with none, the color of window glass, would be a D. And a stone that is at the borderline where you start asking, what's that interesting yellow color, rather than what's that funny yellow tint, is a Z. The color in most diamonds is yellow. There are other choices. These are called fancies. Clarity is the presence or absence of inclusions in the stone. Diamonds are rocks. Rocks in general are not chemically pure, and some have more impurities than others. Some have cracks, some have other internal features. They don't look like a piece of window glass. The scale of clarity goes from flawless to I3, and presumably with the GIA system, flawless costs more. Carat weight is exactly like it sounds. It's a weight. Carat is 200 milligrams. It's an unusual unit. It's used only for diamonds, only for gemstones. But it's been a tradition for hundreds of years that gemstones should be weighed in carats, and that continues to this day. The reason we still use the 4 C's is the same as the reason we ever use the 4 C's. It gives you something to talk about. It's a way of describing one diamond as better or at least different than another one. It did that really well. It still does that really well. If you go into the store and talk about diamonds, they will be talking about the 4 C's. And if you don't know them, you should learn them. There's a section in my website explaining exactly what they are and how to read them. Clarity is a peculiar characteristic that's popular to nearly everybody. The secret is the word flawless, which is a terrific word. Everybody wants it. It's terribly expensive. There's 11 steps in the scale that go from flawless down to I3. Flawless should look like a clean sheet of glass under 10x magnification. You look at the stone and you won't see anything in it. Included, which is the I1, I2, I3, have inclusions that affect either the durability or beauty of the stone. Think of a sugar cube. With most stones above SI1, which is the top 7 grades on this scale, you can't see anything without magnification. And with most stones above VS1, you can't see anything even with magnification unless you know what you're looking for. That begs an interesting question. Why do people care? What is it about clarity that's so interesting that it can make a factor of 5 difference in the price with an attribute that you can't even see? This is part of the magic of the 4 Cs and part of the reason that I don't really care for it as a scale. Color has a similar issue. D is the color of window glass. That is to say, you look at it, you don't see any detectable color, even under perfect lighting with perfect vision, it's not there. As you get down into the warmer colors, like G and H, you still don't see it. Why then do people care? There's 17 steps in the color scale, and people will recognize perhaps 4 of them. Cut is another one of the interesting Cs. That includes both shape and proportion. Proportions is what you'll find cut snobs are interested in. That has to do with the angles of the stone and the internal reflection of the light. It's what makes diamonds prettier than rhinestones. Shape is a matter of round or princess or pear or heart, those kinds of things. In the original scale created by GIA in the 30s, there was no scale for cut. It simply created it as a thing. That evolved into a scale that had 4 grades in it that has become obsolete. And they created a new scale for cut proportions on a round stone in 2006. Everything outside of round has no cut scale. The people who geek out about diamonds almost always are geeking out about cut. They're not talking about shape, they're talking about the proportions. They especially like to talk about non-rounds. They use asset scopes, they use ideal scopes, they talk about crown angles and pavilion angles. There's a whole industry of people that are interested in this. And in the GIA scale, all of this is outside of the scale. Round stones have 5 grades: excellent, very good, good, fair, poor. Pretty much everything is excellent. Non-round stones have got nothing. There is no scale at all. I mentioned at the beginning of this that I don't like the 4 Cs very much. They're here to stay whether I like them or not. They're a good way to sell, they're a good way to buy, and they do set the price. At the same time, there is so much more to geek out about in the whole diamond industry. There's fire, there's scintillation, there are treatments, there's cut grading on every shape other than round. There's not even agreement on the cut grading of rounds. I'm going to write more about this in our next episode of Beyond the 4 Cs. I'm Neil Beatty, Independent Certified Gemologist Appraiser from the American Gem Registry in Denver, Colorado. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the backside.